This is episode 164, 5 Phases of Desire. Welcome to Alive by Design. My name is Blake Mallon, and we're here to bring you inspiring people, principles, and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. Open your mind and let's dive in. Hey guys, before you listen to the podcast, I just want to drop in and say I appreciate you for being here, and I'm super excited about this new Walk With Me series. These are solo episodes where I take some time in the middle of my morning run through the Santa Monica Mountains to share some inspired ideas and thoughts on my mind and heart. If you want to join me for any of these conversations live, you can catch me many mornings on my Facebook page, facebook.com/BlakeMallon.page. Would love to see you there. Love you guys. Enjoy the episode.
Walk with me. Drive, desire, fire. I don't care what you want to call it. That's what it takes. That burning fuel inside to move, to grow, to level up, to rise, to elevate, to win. No matter what path you're on, it's what it takes. It's what it takes to overcome inevitable resistance. Have you all noticed that? That anything worthwhile seems to be on the other side of resistance. And how come is it that the higher you climb, the steeper it seems to get? It's the way it is for everyone in like all things. So you need that desire, that fire, that inner fortitude to move you through, to jump over, to go around, to break down the tests that tend to get thrown in your way. And along with that, because it's all not just about the resilience or the overcoming, it's the feeling that coincides with that. And it's the feeling, you can call it achievement, you can call it fulfillment. I call it alive. The reason I call it alive is because that's what it feels like. You feel alive when your fire's burning, when your desire's burning, when your drive is on high gear. We all know the difference between being alive and feeling truly alive. And I know we all know the fire I'm talking about. When was the last time you had it? When was the last time you felt it? When was the last time it was burning on like level 10 of 10? And why was that the case in that moment? I want to talk about that today. Entrepreneur now, 24 years. Seen a lot of seasons. Seasons where the fire's burning. Seasons where that flame's almost out. It's a flicker. And everywhere in between. Through multiple ups and downs. That's life. That's entrepreneurship. I know it's not just me. I've worked with hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs. It's crazy to even say that number and know it's a fact. And I've seen the seasons. And you can feel it, right? You can feel when someone is locked in, blinders on, quote unquote, on fire. You can feel it. You can see it, the pace they're moving, the velocity they're moving, the way they're attracting. And over my couple decades here of not just observing, but working closely with so many talented, gifted, amazing entrepreneurs of all levels, I've kind of put together a pattern. there seems to be, I'm going to call it 5 stages or phases of desire. And I want to talk about that observation, those 5 phases today. And I think you're going to relate for sure to some of them, because I think they're phases or stages we all operate in, we all go through. And I bet there's one of those phases or stages you're in right now. And maybe, just maybe, today's conversation will inspire an awareness to move you or challenge you to a new phase. Because at the end of the day, the desire, the fire, that feeling of alive is what we want. Not only to get what we want, but to be who we want and to live how we want. So why do I start with desire? Because it always comes down to that. Like, it always comes down to the fire we have inside. It is the starting point for anything. The starting point for your next level, the starting point for accomplishing that thing you want going, that place you want to go, becoming that person you want to be, that goal you have, that vision that's calling you. All of that boils down to a starting point, right? There's other things after, but the starting point begins with desire. It begins with the fire. It begins with the drive. It begins with that thing inside that's going to move us to do those next steps. And without it, the next steps don't matter. You can have a perfect how-to. You can have all the coaching in the world. You can have a mapped out strategy. You can have access to every resource. You can have everything sitting on the table in front of you that you need. But without the desire, without the fire, that rest of the stuff is meaningless. So here's the question. How do we get it? Where does it come from? How do we grow it? So I was just thinking about it, and over 2 decades of working with entrepreneurs, going through the seasons myself, watching the seasons, there are 5 kind of distinct stages, 5 distinct phases that I watch people go through. All of them are effective, by the way, in creating a fire and a desire. So you don't have to go from stage to stage. I've seen people stay permanently in one of the stages, one of the phases their entire career and become, quote unquote, enormously successful. But there are differences in the intention and kind of the energy around each of the desire phases. And I want to kind of talk about them. And the first one I'm going to call the chip. And it's a common driver. And what I mean by the chip is the one on the shoulder. You know, so often I meet people that are driven every single day to day because they have a chip on their shoulder from something that happened long ago. And you guys, don't misunderstand me. We're all operating today off programming that got instilled in us a long time ago, usually totally unaware of even what that programming is, where it came from, who it came from. And that's normal for all of us. So this isn't a bad thing when I say a chip on a shoulder. But something to prove can be a huge driver. And I've met some amazing entrepreneurs, some catalytic entrepreneurs that are driven because they got a really big chip on their shoulder, something huge to prove. Somewhere at some time in their past, something happened and deep down inside, they felt like, you know, they weren't good enough. They didn't belong. They didn't get the love or the attention. And someone told them that they couldn't, or their interpretation or perception of what someone said was that they couldn't. And that weight created such a drive of something to prove. I'll show you. If you say I can, I'm going to work 10 times harder to show you I can. And that can move mountains. That can create a focus, a discipline, a work ethic, an energy, a drive that moves people forward. Maybe you right now have that chip right? Maybe there's something driving you that you want to show the world who you are and what you're capable of. You want to deep down inside show that person long time ago that gave you that reference that you are, right, capable. And that ship can move mountains. Another stage, another phase, I'm going to call a clap. And you can probably guess by the term when I say the clap, as in like the clap, the applause, the affirmation from somebody else, the affirmation from others. I know there's many of you out there that are probably fellow achievers. You know the achiever mentality, the accomplishments. As soon as you finish one thing, you celebrate for a second and you're on to the next. The constant chasing and conquering of accolades and milestones. You see so many achievers which go far and can go fast and can go high and can have a drive and can have a desire. They do it for the applause. They do it for the clap. They do it for the affirmation, the recognition of others. And sometimes that affirmation can be a certain person, right? It can be someone in their life they look up to, and someone in their life that is that figure that they seek an affirmation for. Or today, in today's social media world, this drives so many people because we can get the virtual applause, the like, the heart, the comment, right? The share, the metrics that show us that we're doing well. Sometimes from people we've never even met and never will meet or never even know. The clap, the applause can be a driver, can be a huge driver. Some of the most successful entrepreneurs I've seen climb. Some of the top producing achievers I've seen rise. They do it for the applause. They do it for the clap. And the higher they rise, the more applause. The higher they rise, the bigger the audience. The higher they rise, the bigger the stage. And that can move mountains. That can be a fire. That can be a drive. If you're doing it for the clap, you're doing it for the applause. The interesting thing about both of those phases is the drive, the fire, the desire lies in the hand of another. If you think about it, the chip on the shoulder is to prove to someone else outside of yourself. The applause or the clap, right, comes from somebody else outside of yourself. No, don't misunderstand me. It can be a driver and it can move to where you want to go. But at the end of the day, there is a flaw in those stages in that you're never fully in control of anybody but yourself. And that's just the truth we come to learn. And if you're constantly putting your own fuel, right, the ignition to your own fire in the hands of somebody else, well, at the end of the day, you don't have full control over your own drive, over your own fire, over your own desire. I think there's other stages or other phases that people can go to. The next one I'll call the mirror. And the mirror is a ability to not look for the applause outside or not look for the something to prove to somebody else. But as you can probably guess by the name, the mirror comes to looking at yourself and competing with your own standard, competing with your own expectation, competing against the you of yesterday, competing against what you believe your own potential to be. See, looking in the mirror creates a fire and a drive to not show anybody else, but to show yourself what you're capable of. You know, a lot of times I see people move through the phases, and it might be the first mountain someone climbs, the first, monumental success someone achieves might be from that first phase, the chip, or that second phase, the clap. And a lot of times after you climb one mountain driven by that, or two mountains driven by that, right? Success is driven by that. You see a lot of people then kind of shift into this other phase where it's no longer about showing others, and now it's about showing yourself. It's like the last mountain was about proving to others what you're capable of, but maybe this mountain is about proving to yourself what you're capable of. And that's another way to have a desire, to have a fire, right? Within your control is making that shift. How many of you guys know people right now that they really don't care about what other people think, what other people say, what other people like? They just show up as they are to become the best they can be. And they are truly driven to be better than who they were yesterday. That mirror, that competition can be a fire when it's real. It can't just be rhetoric, though. It can't be something you say because it's a nice meme or nice quote. It's got to be that internal driver, that pursuit of your potential. That feeling that at some day you're going to leave it all on the field. You're not going to have a regret that you didn't give it your all, that you didn't challenge yourself, that you didn't pursue the best you that you can be, right? It's a self-drive. It's a self-fire. And I think it's an amazing place to be, an amazing driver to be. You can live your life, right, with that flame burning, constantly pursuing your own potential. It's limitless. It's never ending. That's the fun thing about potential for all of us is, right, the further we go, the further we see. And it truly is limitless. You're never going to catch it. I'm never going to catch it. We're never going to be the best we can be because every step we take, we expand our capacity of what can be. It's always in the future, and that's what makes the journey fun, the pursuit fun. I think there's a couple other phases, though. I think beyond the mirror could be the hand. And I think the hand now transitions off self and back onto others, but back onto others not because of the need for the approval or the applause, but back onto others as a helping hand, as in what can you do to give or contribute or serve to others in a meaningful or impactful way? And this has got to be real. We're not talking about what sounds good. We're talking about a fire. We're talking about a desire. We're talking about what drives you. When you get to a place with what drives you is about a service to others, a contribution to others, that is a level of fire. I mean, there is people that will do more for themselves, right, or more for others than they will for themselves. And it's a real fuel. And that others might be a single individual. It might be a loved one. It might be a spouse. It might be a child or your kids. It might be family. It might be community. It might be employees that rely on you or a team that relies on you. It might be a cause, right, that you're passionate about. It might be, right, a demographic you want to make an impact on. It can be however small or however large of a community, but the key is that you care so much about that helping hand that drives you to bigger places and further places. The helping hand. And I think maybe there's one more that I've seen as a constant pattern. I would admit it's less than those I've already said, maybe less common, but I'm going to call it the calling. And it's something you can see, and it's something that is truly kind of magical when you meet someone that is operating from this stage or this phase where you just know they're doing what they're doing because they feel like they're called to. They were created to. They were designed to. This is tapping into a purpose layer. And yeah, this gets into a faith-based mindset, a mindset that, hey, you know what? There's a reason you're here. There's a reason you were created. There's a reason you have the gifts you were given. There's a reason you've even gone through the experiences you've gone through, not just the great ones, but all the stuff, all the yuck, all the mud, all the things that when you're going through, you're like, why is this happening? And then eventually you connect the dots and you realize, wow, maybe there was a purpose, a design to give you a perspective, a skill set, a scar that allows you to see things that others can't see and make an impact that only you can make because of your unique combination of all of it. It's a calling. And you meet people that are just operating, and it's almost like they're being pulled by purpose. And I think that calling kind of aligns all the things, right? All the experiences, all the gifts, all the skill set, all the passion, all the things to pursue your own potential in a way that does make an impact for the greater good. I think all of them work. I think all of them are a desire. I think all of them are a drive. And you know what? Don't misunderstand me. I've seen all of them create success. I've seen all of them create achievements. I've seen people operate in any one of those phases, right, for their entire life. I've also seen people shift from phase to phase or stage to stage as we go through the seasons of life. Maybe there's more. You tell me. Is there other stages or seasons that you've been through or you've seen others go through consistently? But for me, those are the five kind of most common. Those are the five patterns. Those are the stages that I've seen. Those are the stages that I've been through, right, through different seasons in my life. Those are the stages I see people go through every single day. And the world of business, right? The world of entrepreneurship. give you one more view from the top here. Look at, we're still above the clouds. Clouds are coming up though. They're coming up. So you tell me, what stage are you in right now? You tell me, what stage do you want or aspire to live in right now? And my challenge for all of you in these conversations is just to take a little bit of a reflection and say, okay, where's your flame at? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are we at right now? Where do you want it to be? Not just to do what you want to do or accomplish what you want to accomplish, but to live how you can live and feel how you should feel. And in order to light that flame, what phase or stage do you want to do it through? And hopefully today's conversation inspires a little more, right? A little better in you. Until the next time we walk together, everybody, here's to not only being alive, but feeling alive and living with that desire flame burning every single day. Take care, everybody.
Hey guys, one last thing. I'm super excited that this new podcast, Alive by Design, just went live. You see, I designed the show to bring you inspired thoughts and fascinating conversations with the world's most impactful people, to provide transformative principles and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. And I'd love for you to help me spread the word now. Simply subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on this platform right now. So if I've ever given you value, please do me this personal favor and go subscribe now. And if you found today's episode helpful in any way, make sure you share this with at least one friend today. You have the power right now to change someone's day. So send them a text message with a link to alivebydesign.com, or simply copy and paste the link right from this podcast platform. Who's one person you know right now that you want to see succeed, that you want to see grow, that you want to see feel more alive? Shoot them a text with your largest takeaway from today and be a light in their day. And if you were referred here by a friend, make sure you shoot them a text back and say thank you. I'd love to hear from you directly on what you got from today's podcast. So if you're up for it, drop by my Instagram @BlakeMallon and shoot me a DM. And as always, thank you for showing up. I'm grateful for you, and I hope our time together today in some small way helped you feel a little more alive. Until next time.